Hi, my name is Austin Lim. So recently I've been kind of just sitting on this question and thinking about my childhood and how I grew up, because I do have one story where you can hear about parents taking me to church and going to a youth group, but one thing I was thinking about that was probably something that was just within me when I was younger. I was someone that was always driven by fear about what people think, driven by fear by how I portray myself as a good person. And a big part of my elementary school time, a big part of my middle school time was a time where I got into a lot of fights, been suspended a few times, had a lot of horrible clashes with my parents. And it was just interesting to realize, just go back to this place where I just realized that a lot of even who I am right now is fear-driven, status-driven, and just really afraid of what people think about me, even as a future pastor, future minister. And one thing that's been really crazy, I think, is I reflect on that time is thinking about how Christ kind of came into my life and how he kind of permeated into my heart. And I think just going back to that first youth retreat in 7th grade, where I was just with a bunch of people from the youth group, my first time being away from home for a weekend, and just kind of hearing the gospel the first time, where you kind of realize that Christ loves you not because of what you do or how you behave, how you act, but He's loved you for who you are. I was bitter, angry, fearful, and afraid of how people saw me. And then once I realized that God loved me that way, that He knitted me in my innermost being, that He has called me to be His royal priesthood, to be His disciple, it really changed my life. And it really brought me to this place of just knowing Him more. I started thinking about ministry, at least, and realizing I really, really like it was through all the missions trips that we've done at CEC. And one of the most impactful missions trip was when we went to Las Vegas in 2007 or 2008. I was just a freshman going into my sophomore year of community college. One person came to Christ during the time we were there. Our team led a service. I was an MC. I wasn't even sharing a sermon or doing worship or anything, but this person came to Christ in a really genuine way, and it just really surprised me that wow, there's something more to life than just how you study, how you make friends, but there's this great joy in just seeing people come to Christ, and a great joy in seeing someone have that moment click that that God loves you and that He wants you to follow Him and that you want to follow Him too. This call to ministry, it took a really long time to wrestle with, and what the call to ministry really is a call to love God and to let your community affirm your giftings and affirm where God is leading you. In 2012, I had a chance to be in Shanghai for a short-term missions trip for about 2 months, and I made some connections with these local international churches out there. And so there was this one youth pastor out there who is back in America. He quit his job out in Shanghai, and he wanted me to take over his position. And it was completely out of the blue. It's actually, he offered this position to me about a year ago, and all of a sudden this summer they came back to me and they're like, hey, yeah, we would like to ask you if you'd like to be an international youth pastor at this international church in Shanghai. You'll be speaking English, you'll be in another country doing it, and there's a lot of different pros and cons to it, but what do you think? And so this call to this specific ministry was just something, I thought I would be in California or maybe East Coast. The first I thought I would go, and then all of a sudden God said, no, how about you go to Shanghai? Look at your missional background, look at your heart for flexibility and your heart to speak to the lost. And why don't you just go out there? You're not even a missionary yet. You're just going to be just this pastor serving youth kids in this church. And then I'm going to give you a taste of what it means to live overseas. And so this ministry at this church is going to be a full-time youth pastor position where I'll probably be out there for at least 2 or 3 years is the plan right now. Man, I'm entering this new phase of ministry where I'm going to have to deal with status, fear, expectations, people-pleasing, being on stage, and trying to please, basically trying to please those that I serve with. As I look at these trials and expectations, the last 2 or 3 weeks has just been this time of just sitting back in the gospel and saying, yes, I might be Pastor Austin in the future. Yes, I might be Elder Austin or Austin the dad, Austin whatever, right? But right now it's just, I'm Austin, God's son. And that I'm going to be making mistakes, and I need to give myself grace even as I go overseas.